Smart contracts. In simple terms, when you hear the term contracts, you'll immediately associate a legal definition with it. If you have ever employed some builder, or a contractor, to do some work, you probably had to sign a contract. Many employers will require you to sign a contract as well. So, contracts are something you do come across under very many situations. In the good old days, when you give your word, that was your contract. But, as time passed by, the trust level went down, and a written contract had to come in place of a verbal assurance. These written contracts have a lot of legal terms, which are not easy for you to understand. Most of the times, you seek some legal help, especially if you have to come up with a contract. In a contract, there are certain stipulations and conditions that are present, and usually involves the procedure of how one or more transactions, involving money transfer, will be handled. To understand a contract, especially a lengthy one, you'll need the help of lawyers. What if all the rules of the transactions are put in the form of software program, or simply put, some lines of code? If that is done properly, that should replace the need to come up with a separate contract, and also will not need a professional lawyer. Nick Szabo, one of the pioneers in cryptographic software and blockchain, came up with the term smart contract in 1996. When the first cryptocurrency Bitcoin was introduced in 2009, powered by its own blockchain, the understanding and definition of smart contracts started taking shape. You can understand a smart contract as something that includes a set of rules in digital form, b a set of protocols or agreements, c an algorithm performing validations, usually with simple if-then statements. Now, the question is, where do you implement these smart contracts? That's where a blockchain comes in. Smart contracts are implemented on blockchains. The most popular blockchain, which supports and promotes smart contracts, is Ethereum. For those who don't have a clear idea of blockchain, let me give you a simple summary of what it is. Blockchains are decentralized peer-to-peer networks, where copies of the transaction data, maintained in blocks of a certain size, linked to each other, are stored in every single node of the network. This distributed network, known as blockchain network, is decentralized, since there is no central server within this network, and each computer, or node, carries the same data, and same set of instructions for execution. The advantage of a blockchain is the ability to maintain the distributed ledger, ensuring that transaction data is both secure and trusted. Please watch our video on blockchain for more information. Let's get back to smart contracts. One of the main features of smart contracts is that they are immutable and not stoppable. What does it mean? Immutable means, once you write the smart contracts and deploy them on the blockchain, they cannot be changed forever. Also, the smart contracts are always running on the blockchain network and are not stoppable. One other important thing to remember is, a smart contract can call another smart contract and execute it. So, cascading conditions can be established and executed. Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum blockchain, focused on this idea of smart contract in 2015. He developed that smart contracts need to be set of rules that can be coded using a proper programming language, and not necessarily a scripting language. Solidity is being used as the main programming language in Ethereum blockchain, though there are other languages that can be used for programming as well. Solidity looks closer to Java, and has tools available for development. Smart contracts have several use cases. For example, smart contracts can be used for mortgages, which will incorporate several rules, like monthly payment calculation, late fees, penalty structure, early payments, escrow calculation, etc. Let's look at another case, in a little bit of detail. It's in supply chain management. Many manufacturers around the world source different components, from different set of producers, which are then integrated into a final product, in the assembly location. Every producer or vendor, who manufactures the specific components, need to be paid after verification, that the quantity and quality of the components meet the expected levels. Let's say, a waist belt manufacturer gets the buckle, from another source. He'll need to then check, if all the buckles have arrived, and if they meet the quality standard. This can be accomplished, by some automated quality control process. When the quality control process transfers the data to the blockchain, then the supplier's payment can be released, without any further paperwork, if there is a smart contract in the blockchain. There is no need to raise an invoice, or provide additional paperwork, for proving the shipment. Smart contracts are efficient, simple, reduce costs, and are highly reliable, without human intervention. There are many other utilities for smart contracts as well, including insurance industry. Let's say there is a special insurance product, that's available for purchase, which insures against flight delays. Let's say, if a flight is delayed by an hour or more, then $100 will be paid to the flyer. Of course, in a real-life scenario, there can be multiple conditions, and the smart contracts can address each of the conditions, and decide accordingly. The obvious question that pops in your head is, why use smart contracts, against a traditional approach of a legal agreement, and why put them on a blockchain? We'll look at the first thing. Since smart contracts are just conditional statements of code, that are executed, when a certain condition is met, they ensure that there's absolute clarity, reducing any kind of uncertainty. Second, the transaction costs associated with legal contracts, are reduced greatly. Third, the smart contract is applicable across all geographical locations, and does not change, based on the location, where it is executed. Next, smart contracts are implemented in blockchains, because they cannot be changed, once implemented, and will be implemented across many distributed computer nodes. Smart contracts became a lot more common with Ethereum blockchain, compared to Bitcoin blockchain. However, there are several critics of smart contracts too. Some of those critics call them, as dumb contracts, because, sometimes, the conditions need to be defined in specific context, and needs an analytical approach, and not coded in, if-then blocks. In a real contract, the judge gets to interpret or evaluate the context of the terms, and decide how they should be applied in that given context. In smart contracts, such evaluation has to be either known ahead of time, and if it's not, then the smart contract can't enforce a rule, and may not be ideally suited for the situation. Some of the critics claim, smart contracts are not really contracts, in a legal definition, but just computer programs, that execute and evaluate a set of conditions. So, the legal definitions can never be accurately incorporated, into such computer programs. There is a technical issue with smart contracts, as well. Smart contracts cannot be changed, since they exist on blockchain, and if any bug that may exist on the program, cannot be corrected. In many cases, the bugs of such smart contracts are only identified, after they have already been published. This is one of the biggest issues of a smart contract. Smart contracts still are a very useful tool, to automate the processes, and improve the efficiency of operations, in many cases. Though not all blockchain platforms have support for smart contracts, it's gaining wider acceptance in new blockchains. Thanks for watching.